Okay, so we're going to look at a few of the sutras closely. We're not going to cover all of book 1 right up off the bat, but we'll talk at the end about ones we missed. I want to start with a little experiment. So we'll sit in a meditative posture, comfort, stability, spine straight. Maybe eyes closed. For the next 30 seconds, don't think about a pink elephant. Okay, take a breath. Were you able to do it? No white elephant, no pink elephant? Okay. Some of you should know. All right, take another breath. Maybe close the eyes. And for the next 30 seconds, don't think about anything on your to-do list. And take another breath. What just happened?
Well, one popped in, and then I decided to think about the pink elephant, which made the to-do list go away.
So pink elephant wiped out to-do list. Okay. Did you succeed in stopping the thoughts?
Yes.
Yeah? I was expecting you to say probably not. Or it was hard. Or by setting up the intention, no thoughts, that there would be a little bit of a barrage. And maybe I should have set the time longer. Maybe 1 minute would have cracked some of you.
I think we're trying to get in there. Like, the pink elephant. We had to think about to-do list, and we're not. So mine popped up almost immediately.
If I count through things like that, then I'm not thinking about anything else. It's just like the sheep when you're trying to go to sleep.
Focused on the music from downstairs.
Okay, so something in the present that pulled you away.
I use Ujjayi breath.
Yeah, okay. Breath work, Ujjayi.
I took a stroll down the old movie theater.
In your mind, walking down the street.
What it used to look like. Across the street.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's not on my to-do list.
There you go.
Who said they use Ujjayi breath?
Stephanie.
I use it all the time to focus, like if I'm reading.
So one thing you're obviously aware of through practicing meditation is that the mind is really good at naturally producing thoughts, memories, worry, planning. These things naturally arise. We don't have to work at it. They just show up. And there's a word for them, these patterns, these fluctuations. And in the sutras, in 1-2, it shows up as the word vrittis. And I think it's pronounced vrittis, there's a trill, but I have to look it up. The vrittis are, I heard one teacher describe them as little gerbils running around in your head, or monkey mind. Okay, so the vrittis. So Sutra 2 is basically translates to yoga is the control, and I don't like the word control, we'll get back to that. Nirodha is the Sanskrit. The control of the modifications, vrittis, the gerbils, of the mind. So that's all Yoga Sutra 2 is saying. But it packs a wallop if you really look at it. It's the whole aim of yoga. It's the whole shebang. Yoga is the ability to, and to give you some other options here, the mastery or the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. That's it. So that's what yoga is, according to this ancient document. Yoga means union or joining together of true self and mind and body. Chitta. So chitta shows up. This is the consciousness, fluctuations, vritti, nirodha, mastery or stilling. It's a coordinating, it's an observing. It is not control or suppression of the thoughts and emotions. So I think some people come into meditation thinking they can't have thoughts and that they failed if their thoughts are coming up. But that's not what nirodha is pointing to. It's more of a mastery of that stuff. So it's a sifting through, seeing what matters and letting go of the rest. Think of the mind like a river. Nirodha is not damming it and holding it back, which that's what I used to do. I was like, I'm holding back my thoughts. They're not going to get in. And that becomes like strain and heavy effort. And mastery is something else. Nirodha has something else. Noticing them, stepping back, refocusing your attention, and creating space, witnessing. So if we have a takeaway from this little silly experiment, it's that we're identifying early in the sutras, the mind has these fluctuations and our aim is to master them. And that's the foundation of our whole practice. Meditation, we let the stuff arise, we let it settle, and we keep letting it settle. Start small and go deeper. That's Sutra 1-2. And we could stop there. If you're really good at that, hey, keep it up. But the rest of the book is like, okay, so all this shit's going to come up. Here's the specifics of them, and here's what you can do more specifically to achieve that aim. Okay? All right. Sutra 1-3. This has to do with the nature of the self. What is the self? It states this, then the seer abides in its own nature. So once we master the mind's fluctuations, then the seer abides in its own nature. So it's that true self, capital S self, Atman, will naturally emerge. You will find it, you will feel it. And it's not something you are creating, it's something you're revealing. Like, again, we've talked about layers, peeling layers back. So the way to practice this, let's do another quickie practice and finding that comfortable seat, posture of dignity, straight spine, breath deepening. It's the classic witnessing self exercise. Take a few slow breaths. Notice the observing presence behind your thoughts, behind your emotions, and the sensations, like sky behind the clouds. And ask or notice if there's a part of you that can observe without getting pulled in. Can you rest in that awareness? Can you relax into that spaciousness? breath. Move the body. What did we notice? Did we feel any stillness, any presence, any spaciousness? That was really brief. Don't worry if you didn't.
I think that one made me think too much.
Mm.
I couldn't reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Can I observe without being involved? But I'm observing, like, the things that I do,
Mm-hmm.
like the choices I make. Am I already involved?
So was it like a review, a self-review?
Yeah, am I involved or am I not involved? Because I feel like I'm involved.
I think that the trippy part of that is like, who is this I that's asking that question?
Okay.
Okay, so you're getting close because it's like,
I think you understand it perfectly.
yeah,
Therein lies the problem.
yeah. Where is that I? Who is that I that's watching that stuff that she does? So see, it's, yeah, it is. That's what we're meant to do. It's the self abiding in its own nature. So again, these are sutras. They're little teeny chunks of information, and we're meant to reflect on it. So this one, like 1.3, the seer abides in its own nature. But there is, when I do this practice over and over and over again, it definitely leads me towards more tranquility. Even though I just watched a whole bunch of drama play out in my head, I realized I was watching it and not feeling in it. Eckhart Tolle has a really interesting story in the beginning of one of his books. Like, he saw a person in a bathroom talking to themselves out loud, just having full-blown conversation, and he like made fun of that person, and then immediately was doing the same thing minutes later. Like, I think there's degrees of awareness where you don't realize the true nature. When we try to sit and watch all that stuff, we're doing a little better. We're getting a little closer. We're drawing back from it. But if you're just like, oh God, I should have said this to that guy. Man, you're in it. You're sucked in. You are the clouds. There is no sky.
You don't know me, homie.
Yeah. I mean, and then you catch yourself and you're like, what was that? Okay. Where am I? Where did I go? That wasn't my tranquil stillness. So if we can remember anything about the sutra, it's that the stillness is already within, even if thoughts are present. And to access it, we practice this witnessing. And we practice, and we practice, and we practice. And then sometimes we're lucky enough to like dissolve into it fully. Okay. Questions about that sutra? I guess these weren't really the hard ones, though, were they? I let myself off easy.
No, I should clarify too. Book 1, I actually got a lot out of. I just read a lot of book 1. Book 2 is where it started.
That's the Buddhist one?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's where it started to break down for me. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. Well, and as we progress, and I the later books even it gets tougher, but these practices, these 7 keys are throughout. So really that's the takeaway. But let's turn to, and you can look in your book, Sutra 1.5 through 1.7. I'm going to read them out loud as they're written on Swami Jay's website. 1.5 states, those gross and subtle thought patterns fall into 5 varieties, some of which are colored and others uncolored. Klishta, colored, aklishta, uncolored. And the thought patterns are the vrittis. The 5 varieties of thought patterns, Sutra 1.6, the 5 varieties of the thought patterns to witness are. And you can do these on your hand. In Swami J's website, he's got like a picture of a hand, and he's got like 1 through 5. Sutra 1-6. Sorry, I'm not going by page numbers because I'm just reading.
It's on our page 11.
Yeah, I was just,
Sorry.
my brain is like, oh, that's 16. 1 6 is 1 6.
Oh, no, sorry, not the page number.
Thank you, sorry.
1-5-1-6. The 5 patterns. And just kind of play this. Your thumb. Knowing correctly. This is a pattern of thoughts. Vrittis. 2, incorrect knowing. 3, fantasy or imagination. 4, sleep, nidra. And 5, memory, recollection. Of these 5, now I'm going to move into 1-7, which would be on page 12. Of these 5, there are 3 ways of gaining correct knowledge. Perception, inference, and testimony, or verbal communication from others who have the knowledge. In your book, it says the sources of right knowledge are direct perception, inference, and scriptural testimony. He focuses heavily on scriptural testimony, but in Swami J's version, it's testimony or verbal communication from others who have the knowledge. Hopefully. Or, like solid source. We want solid source. We want a solid source. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, I'd rather talk to somebody who did, who's touched it. And so, in the Bible, the idea is that, these prophets, these people who were as close as you can get, we're going as close to the source as we can get. Okay, so we're bundling these Sutra 1-5 through 1-7. It's like, okay, there's 5 kinds of thoughts. Some are colored, some are uncolored. So really, right knowledge would be the one that's not colored. It's clear, it's neutral, it's true. But you can't trust everything in your imagination. You can't trust everything when you're asleep. You can't trust everything from memory. And incorrect knowing, these are all colored. These are the kind of thoughts you got to watch out for. And then there's right knowledge. And in 1-7, the sutras gives us an idea of how to figure out, how do I know what I think I know is true? How do I know that? So this is where my mind goes. How do I make this shit relevant to my life right now? And where do I have the most trouble knowing what is true or not? I made a little list. AI images and video. I think back to when I sent you the bears thing, and I was like, hey, this is early when AI was getting really good early on. I got totally hoodwinked, and it was a national park, and it was all these bears walking on the highway, and I was like, the fuck's going on here? And I just immediately knee-jerk was like, Jolene, do you know what's going on? And you're like, AI, sweetie. And I'm like, oh. Forget I said that. But I've been so much more thoughtful since then, so much more oh, it's this good? This it was so real. And I'm going to say this later, but AI videos like that feed on plausibility. It seemed plausible to me that bears would be acting fucking weird since everything's weird right now. So it just my brain, my assumptions and what I was seeing or what I thought I was seeing jumped right into reaction. So not proud of it, trying my best not to repeat that pattern. But these sutras right here are so important to reflect on with AI, video, and imagery, social media narratives, the narratives that are being pushed by mainstream outlets, news cycles, influencers' authority on things, and even spiritual teachers. So we're bombarded now with content that feels like I'm seeing it with my eyes, and we're not. So if we look at this cluster of sutras as a filter to help us navigate, that's what I'm interested in as a modern practitioner. So pramana is the word for right knowledge, pramana.
I think your prints are here.
Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, thank you. I do want to get through this bit and then we'll transition. But so I wrote pramana in the digital age. These are the 3 questions we have to ask ourselves as digital consumers who are also practicing the sutras. So if we follow Sutra 1.7, perception, direct seeing or hearing or being in direct contact. We need to ask ourselves, what am I actually experiencing? All right, good question. I just saw something. What am I actually experiencing? What did I see, hear, or feel? Is it firsthand, or am I consuming someone else's experience? That's the big one. Any video you see, remember it's filtered and filtered and filtered. It's not direct experience just because you saw it on screen. And it's crazy how they simulate perception. Our senses are like, I just saw that. I'm really upset. I just saw this injustice, this horrible thing. But we have to suspend. We have to learn the ability to suspend. AI and edited videos and selective framing mimic this reality. I wrote pratyakaksha, which is the right knowledge. Screens give us illusion of direct perception. So I think I've said that enough. So we just need to keep asking ourselves, what do I know because I lived it? I saw it firsthand. And what do I only know because I watched it?
Is that in the Google Drive? Is that like those notes in the Google Drive or no?
Do you want me to put them in there?
That'd be lovely.
I'll drop them in there. So this slows the mind by asking those questions. The next time you catch something, especially if you notice it quicken your heart rate, we slow the mind down. We say, did I directly experience that, or did I witness someone else's? 2, so now the other way in which we can perceive right knowledge is inference. So in the book, I think he's like, I smell smoke, there's probably fire. And because I have had prior experience, I can make that inference. I use deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is a pretty solid tool for knowing if something is true or not. But in the case of our digital age, so we need to ask questions like, does this actually make sense? Does this match my lived reality? Not my secondhand viewed reality, but my lived reality. What assumptions am I making? What are my biases? What story is my mind filling in? So the algorithms, we know this. They reward emotional reactivity, not coherence. We're not being encouraged to be coherent, calm people. The algorithms feed on your outrage and your upset. Headlines are designed to trigger inference. They're trying to trigger you to jump to a conclusion. That's why I like ground news, because I can look in this app and it'll show me for the same event, what does Fox News headlines say, what do the right-wing headlines say, and what do left, and I can see side by side the 6 different headlines for the same event, and wow, do they show how they're trying to color our inference, how they're trying to encourage you to keep thinking the same old things you've been thinking, to stay on this side or this side, instead of for everyone to come together and observe neutrally or coherently as a crisis or situation. So if you need that, ground news is great. My husband, I think, is using the paid level, and he's always weighing things out and trying to avoid his own blind spots, and I'm just in awe of how he can navigate it.
This sutra speaks directly to this problem in our modern society, is that information does not equal knowledge.
Right.
And when we're bombarded with information, yes, we have breaking news, it's on our phone, every 15 minutes, breaking news, which I turned all those alerts off. But breaking news, all that information is not knowledge.
Yeah.
But maybe the deep dive piece and some good news source the next day is good knowledge.
Yes.
So yeah, we are gonna have to train a whole generation of young people how to discern evidence.
Yeah. Discerning.
The Sutra speaks exactly.
Yes, the sutra is very, very relevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So relevant.
Thousands of years of human bullshit let us here, and this is still where we are. But I find it helpful to, I've done a few practices, and I probably need to do it again, writing out my biases, writing out like what are my privileges so that I can see around those. If you haven't done that kind of introspective work, it's fruitful because, I mean, even if I want to say I'm one of the better ones, I don't fall for that. I do. I fucking do. We all do. And so to get lazy about it and to say I'm above all that, there's no narrative that can suck me in. I think we need to be careful. I think we just need to be careful.
Okay, so not boo hiss on Sutra 1.7.
Yeah, you're fine with that.